Live from Kakariko Village. Broadcast throughout the Retroverse, transmitted to the real world via a maze of wires connecting a Super Nintendo to a Wii, to a Wi-Fi network, and finally to the Internet. The Techno Funk Boy presents the Retro Zoo Super Show. Now here are your hosts, Kai and Steven.
Hello, and thank you for joining us. This is the Retro Zoo Super Show. I am one of your hosts, Kai, and as always, we are joined by
StarCraft 2. The 2018 WCS Austin event is coming soon.
That is not what we were supposed to be talking about right now.
You know, I feel like
or really ever.
I know, but my role has been kind of changed to a co-host to more of like a introduction host. And so since I'm just doing introductions, since we have a great interview coming up in this episode, I thought I would just skip my introduction part and get right to the meat of what I want to talk about.
Which is StarCraft.
Which is StarCraft 2. Yeah. So, let's just start with the fact that I've been following StarCraft 2 a little more closely recently. Started playing it a little bit more. I'm in the Gold League.
We're in the middle of a Dragon Warrior series.
There's dragon-like creatures in StarCraft, but No. I just wanted to say it, and I'll be done. I'll rant for a second, but I know Dragon Warrior is. But you know, any listener that's like, yeah, like I wouldn't mind hearing about a little bit of StarCraft right now. I'm kind of catering to that audience.
I don't think we have that audience.
Well, we don't know unless we reach out to them.
So unless we start talking about StarCraft. StarCraft.
Anyway, I'm just telling you what's exciting me these days. But we didn't introduce Drum, so I feel like we're leaving him out.
Drum's still over there playing the Realm.
Oh, is he still on that?
Yes.
I think we need to find him another game like StarCraft.
No. The Realm I understand.
You can relate to the Realm.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, I don't even know where to go from there. I had this whole intro going. We actually have on an interview the developer who created the Dragon Warrior Randomizer, and you've completely taken me off my game.
So do you have the developer?
Yeah.
Well, I want to keep talking about StarCraft, but at the same time, I wonder if he could help with Murd.
Is Murd still around?
No, yeah, he's in the basement. He's just kind of underneath the pile of recycled cans and stuff. He likes the darkness, he likes the basement, and he just sits there and mutters about killing and death and murder. And so
you're trying to program that out of him?
Well, kind of. I mean, he's just so murderous. That's why he hasn't been back on the show. One time he was here, he made a big mess, he fought Drum, went outside and eviscerated small rodents.
Yes, we all remember. It was
just like, okay, Murd, this is a little too much for this show. I feel like is more of like it's just more of a laid back kind of show, and like Murd is a little too murderous.
Not a murderous show.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Even I'm his creator, and I'm saying that about him. So I love him like my child.
But,
But he's a murderous, rampaging robot that probably should stay in the basement until we can get a developer, like maybe the one you're interviewing, to come and work on some code.
So you want me to ask him to fix Murd so he's not like killing everybody?
Just take him down a notch, maybe like a 9 instead of an 11.
How about like a 0? How about like a 0 on the
need
murder
another
scale?
drum.
On the murder scale, we have like let's go all the way down.
We did that with Drum, and like, what is he doing? He's just cracking out on video games,
producing the show, and
producing the show,
and doing all of our drumming.
It's kind of like he had a lobotomy, though.
That's kind of what we want him around for, is drumming. This is a thing that we do, is drum.
Well, look, Murd is he's a different creature, different robot. And I just want him to be able to kind of spice up the mix, but he's just too murderous to have back on the show. So we just need to tone him down a notch. He needs a little bit of murder in him, but
no. I'm still holding the line on the murder.
He's called Murd,
But
which is short for
that's not
murder.
my fault. You know, when I got Drum, I renamed him to Drum.
Maybe you shouldn't have.
But that's what he does.
Well, I guess we can get Murd on the tambourine or something.
On the timbre? No.
Maybe
no.
would actually be exactly what he needs. Because, okay, that's actually what we should do. He should be in the band.
Oh,
play like the egg shaker or something. So that he'll still get the feeling of music, and music soothes the savage beast. And so it might not get rid of all his demonic killing qualities.
He's a robot.
But he'll be like a grunge kind of alternative rock kind of person, robot. You know, angry but not like suicidal or wait. Actually, never mind.
He's suicidal?
I'm just saying, if we got him to be like a grungy kind of robot, then that might actually be another side effect. So I don't really want that in him. Well, we just need to work on the code. If you have some time to talk to your this developer guy,
well, ask him about reprogramming our murderous robot that you named Murd after murder.
Murder. That's a pretty metal name, dude.
Okay, well, all right. Well,
hey,
yes.
I have to tell our listeners who are StarCraft fans that the qualifiers, the American qualifier for WCS Austin, and WCS is kind of like the little league of StarCraft. So I don't watch like the Super Pro. Super Pro stuff is called GSL, or Global StarCraft League, and WCS stands for something else, but it's kind of like the lesser of the StarCraft leagues. And so they are having the North American qualifier playoffs on May 13th, and then on May 12th is the European playoffs.
You know, basically, if you listen to this episode like right away, you are going to be in time for that.
Well, I mean, pretty much. It'll be perfect. Like, it'll be like they'll listen to the episode, and then on 2 days later they can. Actually, the next day, and then the next day they'll have 2 whole days of StarCraft viewing. And I just want to tell the listeners to keep an eye out for Neeb. Okay, he's the Great American Hope, and he will be in the playoffs. He'll be up against some pretty good players there. So Neeb is my homeboy. I met Neeb once, and I was.
Does he remember this event?
Neeb?
Yes.
I met him at a DreamHack, and I didn't introduce myself. I just I was starstruck, so I kind of was just like, and I shook his hand. Actually, I didn't even shake his hand. I had the small child that was with me, who he's my friend. Actually, he's not my kid. He's my Koopa.
This is the most confusing story about a celebrity meeting ever.
Okay, because I'm still starstruck by it. Anyway, I feel weird talking about Neat, but he's going to be there, and I'm super excited. He's like probably one of the best American Protoss players ever. So anyway, he'll be there, and I'm hoping he wins, and I'm hoping I'm there to see it.
That would be great.
Yeah.
So
I digress. Okay. Starker.
Wait. Now that we have 0 time left. Oh goodness! Okay, so this is actually our second episode about the Dragon Warrior Randomizer, and if you've not picked this up yet, or if you have just kind of resetting the conversation a little bit, what these randomizers do is that they shuffle they take the original games and they shuffle them in some way, and each of the randomizers do this in a little bit of a different way, but a lot of times they just take what's inside the chest and move them around so that you're not really sure where things are or where to find them. The Dragon Warrior Randomizer actually randomizes the map too, so you really don't have any idea where things are or what you're going to find along the way. And this kind of has the effect of make it so like you're playing the game again for the first time, where you're really you're not sure where things are or where to find things. And it turns out to be just a ton of fun doing stuff like that. And so we did get the chance to talk to mcgrew, who is the developer of the randomizer. I'm really excited about that, but I did want to talk before that about just a couple of things. First of all, if you are at all a fan of Dragon Warrior, or honestly, even if you're not, you are definitely going to want to check out next week's episode. We are going to reenact the entire script of Dragon Warrior.
Goodness.
Yes. And when I say entire script, I don't mean the entire script. We're not going to say every single line that is possible of the game, but we're going to reenact almost the entire thing, and it is going to be quite entertaining. And so you definitely don't want to miss that. The week after that, which is going to be the finale of this series on Dragon Warrior, we're going to take a look at the music of Dragon Warrior. We're hoping to get Dan Gilak back from the University of Houston to kind of help us analyze the music. And that is also when we're going to release the Dragon Warrior music that we recorded, the remixes kind of covering these songs, and we're wrapping them up right now. I got to tell you, they came out great. You definitely want to get on that. So the way to get these next week is to join us on Patreon, and we're going to get back to Patreon in just a second. But the way to get them anyway is just to join our newsletter, and you do that by going to technofunkboy.com. As always, you are going to want to see our show notes, which are going to be at technofunkboy.com/36 for episode 36. And we're going to put in there a short video of the Dragon Lord 1 hitting me for 95 damage in one of my randomizer runs, which is exceedingly high, and also all of the links to mcgrew and where you can find him, where you can get the Dragon Warrior randomizers totally free. You can download it, play it to your heart's content, and just enjoy it from there. But one last thing on Patreon. We have started up our first goal, and it is going to be a very easy to reach goal. But we are going to be relaunching our jam episodes where we play a lot of game music and talk about it and just have some fun with some game music. But we are going to be relaunching that on Patreon, and if we get a total of $5 a month collectively from everyone, then we are going to start those up very promptly soon thereafter. And so that's going to be our first Patreon goal. And so you can contribute as little as $1 a month toward that goal at patreon.com/technofunkboy.
So basically just 5 people need to do this.
5 people can do $1.
Right.
2 people can do $3.
Or like one really rich person can do $5.
I don't think there's a $5 level, but
You can't go up to $5?
well, no, there's a $10 level. So one person can do $10 levels, and we will start recording these episodes specifically for you.
Right. And we'll invite you over and you can have tea with us.
Yeah, drum specialty.
The specialty. The specialty.
the specialty tea.
The specialty tea. That doesn't sound good. The specialty tea. It's just
fans know what's in the tea. They'll be happy.
Yeah, it's good tea.
Oh goodness. So that is what's going on. And so, definitely please do subscribe to the podcast. Please, if you are enjoying this podcast, please do us a favor and share it with other people. That's how the word gets out about us, and that we're having fun with everybody over here, and that it is worth listening to. And so please do invite a few people to join us. We are very happy to come here each and every week to provide you some gaming news, some good memories, some good banter,
StarCraft updates,
random StarCraft updates, murderous robots, drumming robots, guitar playing elves. All of this for free. And so long story short, just share it with somebody. Because that's what we're going with here.
Yeah, and if you want to hear something in particular, or if you have an idea, or you want to just communicate with us, by all means, we are awesome enough.
We're pretty awesome.
We're awesome.
Yes.
Like, there's no doubt about it. But we're looking for super fans. And so don't think that just because we're on the radio, we're kind of famous, that you can't talk to us. So we'd actually love to hear from the audience and your thoughts about things you want us to talk about, or not that we'll talk about it, but we'd like to know what you want us to talk about. And but also just ideas, or if you have memories to share about the games we're talking about and whatnot, you should definitely start communicating with us more, because we're looking for a couple of super fans.
Hey, Steven, you know where people can do that?
Where?
We have a Facebook group that I will link in the show notes. I did not expect you to say all that, but it's a good place to introduce our Facebook group. It's a private group where people can talk about all sorts of fun jazz.
Mostly about how great we are.
I don't think anybody says that in there.
Oh,
I mean, they should. But
they definitely should. Well, we're looking, like I said, that's the thing. We've got room for super fans, and so be a fan. Be a lurker. That's great. We encourage that, but. You know what? The super fans at this point, because there's none, like super fans, we have fans, but we don't have super fans. You can be a super fan, and a super fan will probably, I don't know, get a bunch of cool swag. I don't know. We'll think about it later, but yeah. But we'd just love to hear from people. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, for sure. I got to say this. It's like as everybody who listens knows, I started streaming on Twitch, and just starting out, and it's very inconsistent right now. I'm trying to set up a good schedule where people can know that they're going to find me very regularly, but. For right now, it's very inconsistent, and so obviously, starting out, I'm not getting very big of an audience at all. But some people came by the channel the other day, just had a really great conversation, and I'm just figuring out more and more that all of this is so much more fun when you get to talk about it with other people, and so there's a lot of ways that we can do that. Technology has been just really amazing to us that we've been able to, kind of use all of these resources: Facebook, Twitch, Discord,
exactly,
podcasting, all of this stuff, to kind of enjoy this hobby together. And so, I really do encourage you to join the Facebook group. Check us out on Twitch. And yeah, I think that will do us. All these people are like, we want to hear from mcgrew, and we just keep blathering on because that's kind of our job.
Well, it's kind of like what we said last time, it's just like sometimes you got to have a little bit of junk food before you have the nice meal. So, or maybe this is like fasting. Maybe we're forcing the audience to fast. Like, there's nothing to eat here. There's just information and like banter.
This is healthy. This is healthy for you. I promise.
It's healthy. This is the
salad. It's excruciating right now. I know, but we're whetting your appetite for the main course.
No, I want to hear mcgrew too. So
all right. Let's jump over to that. So great. Please do check us out. If you are joining us for the first time, we're right in the middle of this Dragon Warrior series, but each episode is self-contained. You don't need to just listen to all of them to understand what we're talking about. But if you are interested in this stuff, we talked a little bit about Randomizer again last week with Spark Over. It was an incredible episode. We talked about the speed run the week before with Ouija Wee. It was, that speed run is mind blowing. It's just mind blowing. And we're going to be back with some more fun stuff. So please do stay tuned. But in the meantime, let's jump over, and hear from mcgrew.
mcgrew.
Okay. So on the line with me today, we are joined by mcgrew. mcgrew, thank you so much for joining us. This is great. I really appreciate you taking the time with us.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm glad to be here.
You are the man responsible for the randomizer, essentially.
Yeah, that is me. I was created a year and a half ago, I think.
Oh,
something
fantastic.
like that.
Yeah. I think you said you heard the last episode. I'm behind on everything, every trend, everything of interest. And so, I stumbled upon the Dragon Warrior Randomizer and, in all, not too far in the past. But, it seems like now, like, all of our retro games have some sort of randomizer, but take us back a year and a half ago. What was the environment like that we decided we need one of these?
The Zelda randomizer had been out, and I had seen some gameplay of the Zelda randomizer, and it looked interesting. Although, I'm not a big Zelda fan, so I never really got into it. But I was actually watching a speedrun. Nest Cardinality was running Dragon Warrior, the vanilla game, and this was before any of the RNG manipulation stuff. Mm-hmm. So this is like a 4 or 5 hour speedrun. And I'm just talking in the chat, and I think someone had mentioned it to me maybe before that, I believe. But I just kind of brought up the idea of, would anyone be interested in a randomizer for this game? Because, actually, I'll go a little bit back before I created the randomizer. I actually had a Twitch plays of Dragon Warrior that I had set up for a while, and so that kind of helped me learn some aspects of how the game works, like as far as variables and where memory locations, what's in this memory location and that and such. And I thought at that point I knew the game well enough that I could actually create a randomizer. So I threw up the idea, and some people seemed interested in it, so I started coding, started putting one together, and it kind of unfolded from there. Within a few weeks, I had at least a basic version of the randomizer, and myself, Ouija Wee, I don't know if you know him from the community, mm-hmm. and Jackamus, actually, we started getting on Skype and just doing offline races and chatting while we were racing, just to kind of test everything out and make sure everything worked. But it was a fun experience.
Yeah, that's really interesting. It amazes me. These randomizers seem simple enough for the outsider, but the second you start thinking it through, there's a lot of variables that have to go into these things. You can't put the Stones of Sunlight inside Charlotte Castle.
Right.
That's not going
You
to
wouldn't
work.
be able to get in.
Right, exactly. And so, it's not as simple of a thing as, okay, well, let's just jumble the treasure chest. And,
Right.
I mean, starting from there, besides all the other cool stuff that you've put into this already, but it's, just from the basic level of, hey, jumbling treasure chest, there's gotta be a certain amount of logic involved in that.
Yeah, I mean, there is early on it was just jumble the chests and then check to make sure none of the key items ended up in Sharlock, and if they did, move them out, put them somewhere else. But then it came. I started playing around with other things. I figured out how to randomize the weapon shops, I think, pretty early on, so that they would have random items in each weapon shop. Trying to go back actually and look at. So yeah, actually, this has been quite a while. I'm just looking through some of my programming notes.
Yeah.
And actually, yeah, December of 2015 is when I started working on this. So.
Oh wow! Okay. Wow.
Yeah, so it's been around a little while. It's gained momentum. We started organizing the first tournament, and I think a big shout out goes to Ness Cardinality, who was streaming the randomizer, practicing for the tournament a lot, and he has a fairly large following. And that garnered a lot of interest. And then, of course, the tournament itself, a lot of people watching the tournament, just catching it randomly. And, we started the Discord server, I think. I don't remember exactly when the Discord server started up, but it was around that time. And, we started bringing community members in. And I think the community is over 200 now, I know, which has kind of blown me away that, that many people would be interested in it. But
And very active too. I mean, because I'm not big into Discord yet, but I'm part of a few groups. But notifications on the randomizer one is the one that kind of blows up my computer pretty consistently.
Yeah, it does mine too. I've had to turn some of them off just to.
No, but I think it's fantastic, and so I guess moving forward from there, what the distinctive thing that I noticed right off the bat with the Dragon Warrior Randomizer is that the map is randomized, which is darn impressive, and a ton of fun, I got to say.
Yeah, that definitely made it much more interesting. Some of the earlier versions, it was just the standard map, and that was one of the things for the 1.0 release that I really wanted to have in there, and it took me a little while to figure out how to make that happen. But yeah, that makes it so much more interesting.
Right. Well, and I think that's one of but between that and shuffling all the treasure chests around, that's the thing that is, when I play the game, is giving me the experience that I did not have when I played Dragon Warrior for the first time. Because I was one of the ones that played with the Nintendo Power giveaway, and it came with so many hints. It told you where pretty much everything was. It told you where to go at what level, what enemies you should be fighting. And I adore the game, and I loved the game from day one, but I did not have the experience that was originally intended, where you're just put in the middle of this map. You don't know where to go. You don't know what you can fight and what you can beat. You don't know where the enemy zones are. And you just do it trial and error. You just, I walked too far that time. Let me not walk quite that far right now. And trying to piece everything together. And I think that's, for me, that's possibly the most fun thing about the randomizer.
Yeah. I mean, that's big part of the draw to it is you don't know where anything is. You don't know the map, since it is randomly generated each time you create a new ROM.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So moving forward, at this point, it seems like you've updated it, at least reasonably regularly. There are so many different options that you can do with this thing, and I was playing around most recently with the short Charlotte Castle, which actually forgot I did the first time, and clicked into walked into it. I'm like, oh, I'm at the bottom. Nice. Great.
Yeah,
That's
that was
fantastic.
a little feature. Yeah, that was something added for 2.0, just to kind of, if somebody wanted a shorter game, or just forgot one of those fun features that I added. Because a lot of the randomization stuff has been done for a while. It gets to a point where there's not much more you can add. So
Right.
I've started adding more fun features to make it fun for just casual play.
Yeah, and I haven't tried the feature with a lot of swamps, but the seed I got yesterday was close to it, where I could only get out of the initial swamp with 2 hit points left, and so
Yep.
that's been an interest. I haven't quite finished that one, but that actually was a blast to just try to piece together, because I was just totally dependent on happening upon slimes before I died, and it was so great.
Yep, that is a fan favorite, I think, and I like it myself. I love the big swamp mode that fills most of the world with swamp myself.
Yeah,
I love
I'm
playing
gonna try
that.
that. I'm gonna have to try that one soon. That's great. So one of the things I did want to bring up with you is that the other day the Dragon Lord 1 hit me for 96 damage, and I blame you for that.
Wow, I don't think I've seen that one yet. I've seen in the 80s, but never that high.
Yeah,
And this was chaos mode, I assume.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that was actually a lot of fun to figure out, because it's still, even then, it's one of those things. It's like, okay, this is a problem I haven't faced before. How do I solve it? And it puts you back in that original mode where you're encountering these new enemies. You don't know what they can do. You just have to figure out a way through it.
Yep, and I think that's part of the fun is strategy. And sometimes, it's very difficult to get started, especially in chaos mode. It can be very difficult to get started, getting your first level. And I personally find that fun, trying to figure out a strategy that will actually, get you to kill one of the enemies so you can move on.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
sometimes, Erdrick's armor will be behind a boss that's nearly impossible to beat. So you have to grind a few more levels, or try something different, like maybe putting them to sleep to try to get past that enemy so you can get one of the key items.
Right. Right. Exactly. And then on the other side of things, you get the seed where you get, Erdrick's sword in the throne room, and, the first spell you learn is hurt more, and you're just going around smiting things, and it's so much fun.
Yep. That definitely happens.
Yeah. I just started in on this, obviously, but it really, as somebody who's never lost my love of Dragon Warrior, and this was the first JRPG I played. It was the thing that got me into JRPGs. It just set me on the path for probably the rest of my life. And
Yeah, same here.
But playing it like this, it's like, yesterday I was wrapping up one seed and immediately started a different one, because it's just, playing it back to back is so different and so interesting, and presents you with, just a myriad of new problems that you've got to think through. And I'm thoroughly impressed with it.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm pretty happy with the way it's turned out.
Yeah, exactly. So, a couple of features that I wanted to ask about, just because I'm curious.
Okay.
Was the back door to the throne room like in the original, or did y'all realize that y'all got sick of walking through Tintagel Castle?
Yeah, that was the second one. Yeah, I got tired of dying constantly and having to walk back out of the castle. I thought there has to be a faster way to get out of here. Let's make one.
That's fantastic, because I mean the amount of times I die in it's like I was thinking about that the other day. It's just like if I had to do the slow march out of this castle every time, the walk of shame, where you've died, they've dragged you back to the castle, they've stolen half your money, then they yell at you, and then you have to walk out like, yes, I'm the hero of legend. Just don't question it, just believe.
Right. And
That's
the
great.
king eventually gets tired of reviving you, and
He does. Yeah. He's even though he's stealing from you every time, he does. He seems somewhat patient, that he does keep reviving you.
that's
After
true. kind of making a fortune in the process. So,
Yeah. Last night, after about the 30th time that I just died, just walking through the swamp, I think, let's try to find somebody who's not level 1 to save the world. That might be a great idea.
Yeah.
So it sounds like that you've even been a little surprised at the positive reaction that people have had with the randomizer. Am I right in inferring that?
Yeah. I didn't expect it to become that big as it has been. I mean, I was pretty happy when we had about 15 or 20 people playing it, and then now it's grown to I'd say upwards of 100 probably, but I don't know the exact size of the people that actually play it. I know the community itself is large, but it's been very surprising that many people are interested in it.
Yeah, for sure. And what's really interesting to me about all the randomizers really is there's not a formula that you can put together that's going to make all retro games randomizable. Is they all everyone has their little quirks that make it make it this way or that, I guess the big one, A Link to the Past one, is they don't do anything with the maps, but there's enough treasure in that game that just shuffling those around makes it very interesting.
Yeah, and I think that's the map randomization is fairly unique. I think the Zelda 2 randomizer also does that, but I think there might be some of that in Zelda 1 as well, but I'm not, yeah. Again, I haven't played that much because I'm terrible at Zelda, but
I occasionally, I'm just generally not a randomizer guy. It's not something I watch a lot of. I like Link to the Past when I haven't played it, and I love the Dragon Warrior one, and otherwise, even like original Final Fantasy, I don't, I haven't gotten into it. Maybe they have a mode where it randomizes the map, but it doesn't look like it. And
no, I don't think it does.
But I think Dragon Warrior itself lends itself to that, simply because there's not nearly as many key items as obviously as like Link to the Past. There's no story to speak of in the game. And so,
right.
There's just the kind of the simple shuffle of treasures is interesting, but it's not going to make that different of a gameplay. Right.
Yeah. It doesn't affect, I mean, the game is fairly simple and not very linear. So that helps a lot with randomization, because, you don't have to worry as much about, well, I have to make sure I get this key item before this key item or before this happens, or, but for the most part, I mean, the only blocking obstacle is the Rainbow Bridge to get into Sherlock. And so you just have to make sure the 3 items you need for that are accessible. And aside from that, it's fairly straightforward. You can randomize everything pretty much any way you want to. And
right. Yeah.
Of course, there've been with the newer version, there is, there's now with the 2.0 release, there was now we have the possibility of having 2 continents. The earlier ones, there was only a single continent. And so that's added a few. Yeah, that's added a few things into the mix that kind of you have to make sure. Well, if the swamp cave is in Tanagel Castle, you're going to need a key to get to it. So you have to make sure there's a place you can get keys before going to the second continent. So you have to make sure that the city that you buy keys is on the same continent as Tanagel. Otherwise, you won't be able to get to it. Things like that.
See, and that's not even something that I thought of right away. And this is something I haven't really thought through either, but, I seem to remember somebody, on the commentary of the Chaos tournament that happened, it was a month or 2 ago, saying, also if the swamp cave is in Tantegel Castle and Charlock's on the other continent, then that eliminates the death necklace, because you can't get into Tantegel Castle curse. Am I remembering that right, or am I making this up and going to have to edit this out later?
No, that's true. So if you're cursed, you can't enter the castle. The guards will kick you out immediately. They don't want you coming in there seeing the king when you have a curse on you. So yeah, if you with the death necklace functionality that was added to the more recent versions, there's a reason to actually put that on and to, take the curse. But yeah, if the swamp cave is in the back of Tanagel Castle, you have no way to get to it unless you can get to the town of Breckenary, which has there's an NPC, there's a guy you can talk to that can remove the curse.
Yeah,
but you also lose your death necklace in that case.
Right. Okay. And so the death necklace itself, the features of that, it sounds like that's something that you added in to make it more, at least let people consider using it. What exactly does the death necklace do then in the randomizer?
Okay. Well, in the original game, the death necklace doesn't do anything but curse you. Yeah. And it's also very difficult to get because there's only a 1 in 32 chance of it appearing in the treasure chest that it's in. Now, in the randomizer, that death necklace always appears in that chest, and if you put it on, it gives you 10 extra strength, which also increases your attack power by 10, but it takes away 25% of your hit points, your maximum hit points, and so it's a lot of times when you're fighting the Dragon Lord, that it's worthwhile to sacrifice that 25% of your hit points to get the extra strength to beat him. Yeah, and so that's kind of another element of strategy that I've added.
That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I did see a lot of people using that strategy. I thought but I wasn't sure exactly what was going on there. So so I didn't realize that that you had added in kind of in this case a feature of the item itself. That's really interesting.
Yeah, because normally it doesn't do anything but curse you, and you just have to remove the curse in the original game. So
yeah,
and that was that. Yeah, and then there's the second item I added, the fighter's ring, which in the original game is there, but it also doesn't do anything. But in the remakes of Dragon Warrior, it actually adds 2 or 3 strength. Mm-hmm. So I added that functionality to the randomizer, so it'll add 2 strength, or I believe it just adds 2 to your attack power actually.
Oh wow, yeah, cool.
So that basically fixing that. A lot of what you read online says that was an oversight in the game, that it was supposed to do something, but they forgot it.
And this is one of the weird things about, playing these games as a kid and not realizing that certain things just don't do anything or don't work. Especially like in Final Fantasy, where I think it is like the intelligence stat just doesn't do anything, or something like that. It's some of the numbers in there were just miscoded and just shipped, and they don't actually, they reference a number that just has nothing to do with what it's supposed to.
Yeah, Final Fantasy is notorious for that. It has a lot of bugs that made it into the release.
Right. But at the time, it's like we had no idea of that. And of course we had to, we had to really worry very much on, our wizard's intelligence or whatever, but not realizing that we were just wasting time. It's great. But that's kind of the same way with Dragon Warriors. I think thinking back, I can't remember the fighter's ring. I recognize the item. I'm sure I thought it did something for me. But
mm-hmm. Yeah, I think in the original game, the only thing it does is there's a guy in Rumbledore you can talk to, I believe. He'll comment on it if you have it on.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all it does.
That's hilarious. Oh. Yeah, that and I remember trying on one of the 2 cursed items at some point, but they didn't hide those very well. When you go around advertising, I'm a death necklace.
Right.
It's one of those things like, I think you're a cursed item. I'm not sure. But
yeah, death necklace. I'm sure that's perfectly safe to put that on, right?
Right, yeah.
What could possibly go wrong?
That's awesome. Oh goodness. The chaos mode itself, which it's kind of the thing that I fell in love with initially. The runs I've been doing lately have not been chaos mode, but I found it utterly fascinating that, this, slime with 50 hit points is doing Dragon Lord breath against you after putting you to sleep and,
yeah,
and dodging your attack. It's just like, this is so weird and cool.
That was something I wanted to do, is make the randomizer more random. Previous versions, I kept it kind of close to, feeling close to the original game still, with the randomization, of course. But I kind of wanted to add a mode where it was just hectic, just crazy, anything could happen kind of mode. And that's what chaos mode was for.
Yeah, it's it's definitely a blast. The first round I played of it, I completely overlooked a weapon shop in Cantlin, which was really close to Tentacle Castle, and did not realize that they were selling I think it was magic armor for 1 gold. And I got to like level 9 before I went over there, and I'm like, I am such an idiot.
Yeah, there's always fun times like that. That definitely happens, especially to newer runners. They'll kind of forget, oh yeah, Cantlin has 3 weapon shops. You check all 3 of those.
Yeah. And even then, that was the second weapon shop, and I still forgot to look at the third one. I have no idea what was in the third one, but yeah, I like the chaos mode too, because it just adds that same kind of thing that is so attractive to me, that you're encountering a new enemy and you have no idea. Just like the game was meant to be played. The first time you face a wolf, you're like, that thing looks big. Can I hurt it? Can I kill it? How strong is this guy? And it's that same kind of approach to the enemies now, that I think is a blast and a lot of fun to kind of reason through.
Yeah, I think so too. And that's, it's like, well, can I kill this thing? Maybe, let's try it.
Right.
And suddenly you're Dragon Lord breathed and dead. And then, maybe if you do kill it, you decide, was it worth it or not? How much, what did I get from that, gold and experience wise? Because that, of course, that's randomized as well.
Right.
So you might have an enemy that takes you 5 minutes to defeat, but then it only gives you 4 gold and 3 experience. So probably not going to fight that again.
Right. Exactly. So in chaos mode, is it part of the logic that there is something by the castle that you are able to kill?
Yeah, no, during the testing phase, I didn't have that. And I think maybe the 2.0 release maybe didn't even have that. It was just completely random. But, I got some feedback from the community and people didn't really like that. So it's now, it kind of ranks the monsters based to guess how difficult they would be to defeat, and puts the lower ranked monsters near the castle, so at least there should be something you can defeat. And something added in the more recent versions was at least one monster, whatever monster has the lowest strength, will actually only have 5 hit points or less. So
nice.
At least there's something you can kill. And of course, the fun is figuring out which monster that is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's for sure.
Walk around and hit everything, and if it hits you for 1 damage, then maybe this is it.
But that doesn't seem to still preclude them, or does it, from them have that monster having maybe Dragon Lord breath or sleep?
Currently it doesn't, but that might change in a future release. I've been debating that. Some people don't like it, some people think it's fine, so it's always a balancing act. What does the community want?
Well, you've heard it here first, folks. Put your feedback in the Discord channel.
But I've made some changes to that, so where it'll remove abilities from that monster, but I haven't pushed those out yet. So I'm still kind of mulling it over. But
wow.
I have a feeling that'll end up in the next version. But
it's hard to cover, to kind of go through this game, because it's a game with no plot to begin with. So,
Right.
You're Dragon Lord, go collect these things. And then you're the Warrior of Legend, go collect these things and fight the Dragon Lord. That's, and maybe if you want to save the princess, but she's codependent, and so maybe not.
Yeah. It's interesting. The king never mentions the princess.
Oh yeah. Well, you know.
He's like, I just want you to kill the Dragon Lord, if you happen to find my daughter.
Right. Well, I'm imagining home life because you notice he doesn't really protest that much for you taking her away on an adventure either. I mean,
True. She is very needy, so I can understand that.
I'm picturing at home. It's like, Daddy, would you like pizza for dinner? Not really, but thou must. Would you like pizza for dinner? I'm really trying to lose some weight, but thou must.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And I just started Dragon Warrior 2. Excuse me for going off on a little bit of a tangent, but it cracks me up in Dragon Warrior 2 because basically the plot is that the hero and Gwaelin from 1 just wandered around the world planting kingdoms with their children. And then you go back to Tantagua Castle, and like the entire continent's in ruins, and the current king is just is literally hiding in a closet, and you're like, well, you got rid of that annoying daughter, but you probably should have argued with the hero, keep him there, because something about him was just, this was working. So
yeah, well, he did offer the hero to take over the kingdom.
Yeah, which is also a little disturbing. Oh, maybe that king was trying to go hide in the closet too. It's like, this is
maybe that's what it was. He's like, hey, you want to be king, right? I can, I'll just go retire in coal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So, after that little rabbit hole, it's a hard game to cover. There's so many features to what you've done. You can pick and choose. As I'm started loading it for the first time and playing it, I was like, I thought, now it makes sense why that tournament was called a chaos tournament, because there's an actual chaos mode. This is a thing I did not know.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, just the list of things that you can pick and choose, that I haven't gone through half of them yet. And so, I want to encourage people, especially Dragon Warrior fans, from back in the day, is, give one of these a whirl. It's such a blast to play. And it's just, it's really renewed my interest in Dragon Warrior, an interest that never really died, but really renewed my interest. So I think it's just a fantastic game.
Yeah, and it's renewed interest in Dragon Warrior, I think, across Twitch. Before the randomizer was out, you rarely saw anyone streaming Dragon Warrior. Mm-hmm. And now, of course, it's almost always the randomizer. But yeah, you see it a lot more often now, thanks to this. And I'm glad to have brought it back into the light a little bit.
Yeah. And we should note that, that this is free to download, free to play. This is, essentially a labor of love for you. And, you've been, just really generous in letting us play in your sandbox, and it's been incredible.
Yeah. I mean, it's completely free. I have no intention of ever charging for it or anything like that. So yeah, it's there. It's going to stay there.
That's fantastic.
As long as, yeah.
And
as long as I'm around.
Yeah. And I mean, you've noted earlier, but you are still, you're still playing with it.
Yeah. I mean, there's still more features I want to add. There's some things I'm thinking about for the next version, for the next major release anyway. And there are a couple little bug fixes that are probably going to come out soon as I can get around to it.
Oh, that's fantastic. So any features that you want to mention to us as an exclusive that people can only find out here?
Yeah, I mean, some of the things, I want to add a few new modes to kind of mix up the gameplay a little bit, like a Cursed Princess mode, for example, something I'm playing with, where the object is to rescue the princess and get her to take a cursed belt from you when she gives you her love. Something like that. And that would bring you the ending of the game, and so that would be a mode people could race or just play for fun.
Oh wow, that's interesting. That'd be cool.
Something else, something called Threesome %, which is, I don't know if that's the name I'll use because there are connotations there, but so it's a mode that some people have played in Dragon Warrior, like racing wise, and where the goal is to rescue the princess, take her to the Dragon Lord, and agree to share half the world with him. And I hope to be able to add that as a feature that you could turn on, and it would just show the ending when you did that, when you accomplished the goal.
Oh, that'd be
So
fun.
that's a couple of the features I'm thinking about for the next version. There are things that I know a lot of the people in the community want, like a death counter, for example, that would tell you how many times you died during the run.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah, I know a lot of people want that, and it's not easy to implement, but I do want to get that done.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that would be really interesting. It really, I just refer to my deaths, in very large numbers, like I've died 100 million times or a gazillion times.
Yeah, and I would like to see that too. Like maybe when the ending plays at the end, it would show you how many times you died, or some stats about your playthrough.
Yeah, that's for sure. So, if people want to follow you, obviously, if you're interested in the game, I would say, jump on the Discord. I've been in there for a while. I don't say anything because, that's in my nature to lurk. But you'll find out like who's racing and where, when tournaments are coming up, all the good stuff, where to find everything, which of course we'll put links to all of this stuff in our show notes. But, I'll put all your links, but where should people look for you?
Well, you can find me on Twitter under TJ mcgrew. I'm fairly active on there. I'm on Twitch as mcgrew, McGrew, and I don't stream as often lately, but I'm hoping to get back into that soon, back into a little more streaming. But I'd say that's the best places to find me. Twitter and Twitch, and of course on the Discord, if you'll have links to that.
Okay, well, this is one that I can't recommend highly enough. There are very few times when a retro podcast can cover a new game, and so I've actually had quite a blast taking a look at this and being able to play a retro game for the first time,
right,
a new one. And having the added bonus of this game of being new every single time, it's such an interesting idea and so cool. So thank you so much for making it.
Yeah, no problem. And of course, I think I guess Fred Coughlin, who created the Zelda 1 randomizer for the operation, which is what inspired me to create this.
Absolutely, yeah. That's it's amazing. And do you have any idea how long ago the Zelda 1 one was? That's close phrase, right?
I think it was. Yeah, it was first. I believe that was the first one I had seen.
Yeah,
and I don't know if any more really existed before Dragon Warrior Randomizer aside from that one. But it was I think spring or summer of 2015 when it came about. Yeah, and I started work on this one in December that year.
It's been really amazing. How there really has been kind of this splinter community formed around these different randomizers and how entertaining they as a whole have been. Some of these, some of them don't appeal to me, but it's been a really interesting trend and I think Twitch has been just a little bit more fun because of them. So it's been very cool.
Yeah, I think so too, and it's been great having the community too. Just the number of people who've come around who love the game, and the number of people I've met through the community, myself. So,
yeah,
and it's been a great community as well. I mean, no drama. It's fun. We're all laid back and get along with each other, and it's been great.
Yeah. Well, you'll be happy to know that that Sparkover did convince me that in the upcoming tournament, as long as my schedule will allow it, I'm going to join. I might not do well, but
that's okay. I don't always do well either. So, despite creating the randomizer, I'm not one of the top players. So.
Oh, that's awesome! Oh goodness. Well, thank you again, and we will leave it at that. We appreciate you coming on, and just encourage everybody to jump on it.
Yeah, thank you, and like I said, join the Discord, join the community. We'll be happy to have you.
The Retro Zoo Super Show is brought to you by the Techno Funk Boy. Follow us on Twitter at Techno Funk Boy, on Facebook at the Techno Funk Boy, and sign up for our email list at technofunkboy.com. Also look for us on Spotify, iTunes, and Amazon for music. If you are so inclined, please leave us a 5-star rating and review on your favorite podcast catcher. If you are not so inclined, you are obviously some sort of villain trying to conquer the world. Unowned music and gameplay clips are used for educational and critical purposes. Thank you for listening. Keep gaming. And once you have responsibilities that need to be done at this time, then you can game later.